With Hayao Miyazaki's new movie, How Do You Live, opening in Japan next month, I recently had this realization about Studio Ghibli. This will be the first traditional in-house feature film from the studio since 2014's When Marnie Was There. That's surprising, but it's true. Between Marnie and How Do You Live, Ghibli co-produced The Red Turtle, which was an international collaboration with Michael Dudok-de and animated in France, and Earwig and the Witch, a computer-animated made-for-television film. They currently have no announced projects for the future, and that got me thinking about what will happen once Miyazaki does retire for real this time. Not that long ago, it seemed like Ghibli was having one of its most prolific periods. Between 2010 and 2014, they released 5 feature films. Even before then, it was common for Ghibli to release a new film every year or two. There was often something in production, whether directed by Miyazaki, Isao Takahata, or one of the rising talents there. The question of who would be next in line to oversee the studio's creative operations had come up around 2013 or so. Miyazaki announced his 57th retirement after The Wind Rises, and Takahata also revealed that The Tale of the Princess Kaguya would be the final film he would direct, although he was still involved with Ghibli until his death in 2018. The person who seemed most likely to succeed them was Hiromasa Yonebayashi. He directed The Secret World of Arrietty and When Marnie Was There, and his success with those movies made him the obvious candidate to be the lead creative voice at the studio. However, a few months after the Japanese release of Marnie, Yonebayashi left Ghibli to join Studio Ponok, which was founded by another Ghibli staffer, Yoshiaki Nishimura, the producer of Marnie and Princess Kaguya. The other person who could potentially be the new creative leader of Ghibli is Goro Miyazaki, the son of Hayao Miyazaki. The movies he has directed have not been particularly popular among the studio's fans, though. Curiously, his films tend to start production the same way, with his father expressing doubt that Goro could handle it. I've read conflicting reports on whether Hayao liked Tales from Earthsea or not, but he was surprisingly positive on Earwig and the Witch. Nonetheless, I don't know if Goro Miyazaki would be given that position, or even if he would want it. Many years earlier, Yoshifumi Kondo, the director of Whisper of the Heart, was being prepped to succeed Miyazaki and Takahata. Miyazaki was very proud of that movie and saw Kondo as the right person to follow in their footsteps. Sadly, he died in 1998, much to everyone's shock. Uncertainty over the future of Studio Ghibli is hardly anything new. After When Marnie Was There was released, producer and current president Toshio Suzuki said the studio would take a small pause to reassess their future, especially when Miyazaki himself thought The Wind Rises would be his last film. Suzuki wanted to find new talent to help develop projects at the studio, along with some of the other already established directors. The assumption was probably that Hiromasa Yonebayashi would direct the next feature, but that obviously did not happen. 3 years after that was when Suzuki announced Miyazaki would be directing a new feature. So from the outside, it looks like they did not find any possible animators and directors to steer Ghibli's creative future. Although for all we know, maybe they did, and it will be announced after How Do You Live opens. It's strange feeling this uncertainty about what films Ghibli will make, and the lack of any confirmation about what they plan on doing afterwards. However, Ghibli has been branching out in other areas outside of animation. Both Spirited Away and My Neighbor Totoro have recently been adapted into stage productions. The former premiered in Japan and the latter in the United Kingdom. My Neighbor Totoro even won 8 Laurence Olivier Awards, basically the British equivalent of the Tony Awards. In November, Studio Ghibli theme park opened in Japan, designed by Goro Miyazaki, with his father also involved. Featuring lands based around their movies, it's still not entirely complete, with more areas set to open over the next few years. And there's of course the Ghibli Museum, which opened in 1998 and has become a major tourist attraction in Tokyo. Ghibli has also made an effort in recent years to increase their fanbase even more and gain new admirers. In the beginning of 2020, they signed an international streaming deal with Netflix. Ghibli movies have additionally become very popular in China recently. When Spirited Away was released there in 2019, it pulled in strong numbers, even beating out the opening weekend of Toy Story 4. So with the success and adoration that films continue to generate, I'll be surprised if Ghibli ever closes its doors. I will admit, I no longer believe Hayao Miyazaki when he says he's retiring. There are only so many times you can make that announcement. I'm sure another idea will strike him and he'll be back at the drawing board again. I'm also positive we'll hear about a successor at some point. The question now is when and who, and Miyazaki, Toshio Suzuki, and the other higher-ups at Studio Ghibli are probably the only ones privy to that information right now. And maybe in the meantime we'll get another collaboration like The Red Turtle. I just hope we don't have to wait another 9 years for the next in-house Ghibli film. I guess we'll see what happens.